الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. A couple of weeks ago, or for the last couple of weeks, I've been dealing with quite a number of divorce cases, talaq. In fact, one of my friends who's an imam in Cardiff in Wales, he phoned me up one day, very upset, very angry, and he said, "Khalas," which means I've had enough. He said, "There's far too many people coming to me every week, a couple of cases of talaq. I said this to my wife, I did this to my wife." And then he goes, "I'm finding it difficult to find answers for them or give them legal rulings to get them out of their problem." And he said to me, he goes, "Why do people come to us when they make a mess, when the damage is done? Why don't they come to us before, when they're having issues, when they want to know how to do something, so they do it properly?" Because one of the things with the Sharia is the Sharia tells us things to prevent harm. So you're told not to do whatever, and because that action will lead to harming yourself or harming the community. But unfortunately, a lot of people, what happens is they make problems for themselves, they try all the different options, and then they think, okay, as a last resort, I'll go and ask the Imam as well. I wonder what Islam says about this. If maybe Islam will give me a way out. And so what happens is they get themselves in a situation where they go from Imam to Imam or Sheikh to Sheikh, or keep searching on the internet, trying to find a fatwa to get them out of the mess that they've created for themselves. So it's quite a serious issue. Divorce, as you probably know, is on the increase in the Muslim community. Whether it's here in the UK, in the Muslim community here, or worldwide, divorce is on the increase. And I'm sure most of you here will know somebody who's either going through it or has been affected by divorce. And Islam is a practical religion. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in His infinite divine wisdom, knows that for mankind, marriage is obviously recommended and we're supposed to live together in pairs. However, He knows in His wisdom that sometimes, for some people, it's better not to be in that relationship. It's not working. And so for them, sometimes it's more rahmah, more mercy to be out of that relationship, go their separate ways, and khalas, you know, you didn't get on with this person, maybe you need to try another person. Maybe you'll have a better life with another person. So Islam's a practical religion, but we've been told that talaq is permissible, but it should be seen as a last resort. It's not something we should rush towards, because generally it has a negative impact on the community. If there is a problem, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells in the Quran, فَإِنْ خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا, if you fear a discord between them, فَبَعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا إِنْ يُرِيدَ إِصْلَاحًا يُوَفِّقِ اللَّهُ بَيْنَهُمَا. You send someone from his family, from his side, and somebody from her side, to try and do what? Reconcile. Mediation. So mediation is actually in the Quran. Sometimes they have to get a third party involved, who like an imam or someone else who is seen as somebody neutral, can kind of like listen to both sides. However, this is the way we're supposed to deal with it. Then, if it's not possible to reconcile, then we go towards talaq, we go towards divorce. But unfortunately, this is probably, out of everything that we have, salah, zakah, you know, all the different chapters in fiqh and legal rulings, this area is probably the one where there's mass ignorance amongst people. People just do not have a clue when it comes to talaq, what constitutes talaq, what doesn't constitute talaq, how to do it, how not to do it. And the one advice I always give people, if you're in that situation, you're contemplating it, go and see someone, go and speak to someone, get advice so that you don't do it in the wrong way. Okay, because what happens is people, I mean, I had two cases on the same day, back to back, one phone call after another phone call, one in Glasgow, one in Manchester. In both cases, the husband had given 3 talaqs to his wife. And in both cases, afterwards he said, "Oh, I didn't mean it. I meant this, I meant that." So, and then one of the cases, she kind of believed him, and she'd been living with him for the last 4 or 5 years. And so many people, talaq has taken place. When I deal with a case, sometimes they say, "Well, 10 years ago this happened." And I say, "Well, talaq actually took place then." Yet they've been living together for a long time. So it's a very serious issue, and people will come up with all sorts of excuses. "I didn't mean it." What do you mean you didn't mean it? You said, "I divorce you." Only has one meaning. It doesn't have, it's not like other words where it can have more than one meaning. It only has one meaning. Or they say, "I was angry." Well, I'm not exactly going to take my wife out for a 3-course meal and at the end of a really enjoyable evening say, by the way, I'll give you talaq as well. Obviously, it's going to be when you're angry, you're having an argument, you know, there's voices have been raised. At that point, out of anger, you're going to say it. So if everyone uses it as an excuse, then khalas, you may as well just take away the rules of talaq because it will never take place. Or now, what's unfortunately become, I had a case 3 weeks ago, a sister came up to me and she said, my husband texted me, I've divorced you. Subhanallah. I mean, what is this? Emailing people, divorcing them through email and text. Astaghfirullah. And the worst situation is that most people, for some reason, I'll tell you what the reason is, they think that talaq has to be given 3 times. The books of fiqh specifically call this talaqul bid'ah. They say to give 3 talaqs in one sitting is talaqul bid'ah, and also to divorce your wife in menstruation, when she's menstruating, it's also talaqul bid'ah. It's actually the worst type of talaq, and most people think that this is the way you do it, the only way you do it. Talaq can be given one time. The Quran says, at-talaqu marratan. Talaq is twice. Don't you read the Quran? The Quran's telling you, talaq marratan. At-talaqu marratan. Talaq is twice. فَإِمْسَاكٌ بِمَعْرُوفٍ أَوْ تَسْرِيحٌ بِإِحْسَانٍ. After 2, because the 3rd time it's final. After 2, either you keep her and be just, or تَسْرِيحٌ بِإِحْسَانٍ, or let her go. Let her go and be with someone else if it's not going to work out with you. Right? So you give talaq, you reconcile, you give talaq again, you reconcile. After the 3rd time, khalas, she has to go and marry someone else. This is a serious issue, it's not a joke. I remember when we were studying the rules of fiqh, when we sometimes used to say to our teacher, Ustad, if I say to my wife, and he would stop us and say, don't say that. He said, don't even get used to saying that. He says, say Fulan, if Fulan said to his wife. SubhanAllah. Look at the adab. When we were getting taught this, he goes, don't even get used to saying that. Don't even think about that word. Say, if Fulan says to his wife, this is this situation, and then he would say, okay, the answer is such and such. So we have to be very cautious of this because it's not a joke. And the reason why a lot of people think that talaq has to be given 3 times is simply because they're not taking their knowledge from ulama. They don't have time. They're too busy. But they've got a lot of time to watch dramas, soap operas. And so what happens in the dramas, these actors, talaq, talaq, talaq. So people are watching this and thinking, well, that's how you do talaq. So when you take your education from actors, if you're going to do that, and then you get yourself into a situation, why do you expect the scholar to try and find a fatwa for you? Yeah. So this is the problem. People are not taking their deen seriously. There's a hadith that says, thalathun, there are 3 things that jidduhunna jidd, that their seriousness is seriousness. وَحَزْلُهُنَّ جِدْ, and even if you joke in them, they're serious. النكاح والطلاق والرجعة. Nikah, you don't joke. Talaq, you don't joke. Raj'ah, when you're taking your wife back in the iddah period, in the waiting period, once talaq's been taken place, reconciling, that you don't joke in it either. If you joke in these matters, it's also going to count. So talaq, when you joke, also going to count. A couple of years ago, there was a case where sister said, you know, yes, a couple got married very, you know, he's only married a couple of months, still in the honeymoon period, you could say. And the guy, out of a joke, he said, talaq, talaq, talaq. You know, subhanAllah. Couldn't find anything else to joke about apart from this word. So eventually when I said, look, this is not a joke, this is, you know, talaq takes place. They said, it's okay, we're just joking. It's all right. It's not a problem. I said, it is a problem, but you'll find out in the hereafter. Right? So this is the problem with people, they're not taking their deen seriously. Talaq is not a joke. If you do it in joking, then you have to bear the consequences. In other words, it will take place. And there's so many other things which are related to talaq. People are, again, they don't understand, or they have not studied these rules. For example, when talaq takes place, you have what is called a waiting period, iddah. And this means a woman cannot remarry during that period. And if depending on what type of divorce it is, you can reconcile during that period. And the iddah period is supposed to be done in the matrimonial home. So wherever they lived as a couple, it's supposed to be done there. What happens now is, most people, they don't do it in the matrimonial home, they go to their parents' house and do the iddah there. I had a case, subhanAllah, from Bradford. a sheikh contacted me and said, gave me the details of the situation. The woman had actually remarried in her iddah to someone else. So I said, give me the details. What actually happened? This happened on this date. Okay. And then she married the next guy on this date. I said, she's still in her iddah. She's still in her iddah period. I tell you, tell them to stop straight away. The relationship's haram. Subhanallah, I have no idea what people are doing. I mean, why did she just ask someone? Pick up the phone, ask someone, I'm going to get remarried. This happened. Is it permissible? Is there any rulings that are related to this? So this is why I'm talking about this today, because it's getting out of hand. And the most important thing, if anything you remember from anything that I say today, if there's one thing you remember, please take this out to everybody that you know. Talaq does not have to be done 3 times. You give talaq once, it takes place. It will take place. All the repercussions of talaq come into place by giving talaq once. Okay? It does not have to be done 3 times. 3 times is haram, and it's also talaq al-bid'ah. Okay? Tell this to everyone, because for some reason, so many people have got this through their brains that if you give talaq, it has to be done 3 times. When you give it 3 times, it becomes very difficult for the scholar to help you. Okay? If it's once, we can still reconcile. Whether it's in the iddah period, even after the iddah period, you can get remarried, do another nikah. Yeah? It can still be salvaged. But if you go down the 3 talaq route, then it becomes extremely difficult. And then the other thing is our understanding or our view of talaq. Did the Sahaba ever get divorced? Of course they did. The Sahaba got divorced. Did they get remarried? Of course they did. Why has divorce become such a taboo thing? Somebody who gets divorced, oh, I don't want to marry them. You know, it's as if they're damaged goods. Sahaba, the best of people after the prophets, they got divorced, they got remarried. It wasn't seen as a, you know, that's it, your life comes to an end. It's not. Why do you think there's an iddah period? The whole point of an iddah period is after the iddah period you can remarry. So we need to understand the whole concept of divorce, how it fits in with our deen. The other thing is that this happens a lot. People get divorced, and then what happens is they start to spread rumours about each other. He was the worst husband, he did this, he did that, he did that. And then he hears about it. She's been saying that about me. You know, she was the worst wife. She did this and she did that. And you know about this. And then, you know, and subhanAllah. And what happens is their whole entire married life, everyone knows it in society. Now, a'udhu billah, they put it on Facebook. They don't even need to tell people. They'll expose themselves on Facebook. Status, you know, my worst husband in the world. And they put a picture up as well. This is who he is, in case you don't know who he is. Subhanallah. I mean, I really don't know what understand. The thing is, I always say to a couple when they come to me, I don't know the truth because I wasn't there. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold you to account in the hereafter. So you might be able to fool me. You might be able to fool me, but in the hereafter, everything's going to be exposed. Okay? So our job, we can't judge. We don't know the truth. So if we can't judge and we don't know the truth, what's the point in telling people? Khalas, it didn't work out for you. You say, okay, that's it. We didn't work out. You go your way. Imsakum bi ma'roof or tasrihum bi ihsan. Stay together in fairness or go separate in a good way. Good way. That means you don't slander each other in public. Okay? And this is happening so much. So even for us, when we hear about it, you say, look, I don't want to hear about it. I don't know the truth. Obviously, you're going to say that you're the victim. Everyone's the victim. No one's going to say it was actually all my fault. Yeah? No one's going to say that. So, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. I hope really that a khutbah is not going to solve this. Okay? This is just a reminder. We need to get serious about educating our community and everything. But really, when it comes to marriage and divorce, people getting married and they should learn the rules of marriage and also learn the rules of divorce when they get married. It becomes an obligation. Not when things all go wrong, then you come running and try and find an answer. That's not how you do things. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. And inshallah, if some of you can take this message to other people and relay what we've been talking about, inshallah there'll be a lot of benefit. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam Muhammad wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam tasneem kathira. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.